Hi, welcome back, guys. This is part two. So we left off talking about landing operations, and I'm gonna go through this again, okay? But something that stood out here was the term bottlenecks, right? Now, in military strategy, a choke point, or sometimes bottleneck, is a geographical feature on land such as a valley, defile or bridge, or maritime passage through a critical waterway such as a strait, which an armed force is forced to pass through in order to reach its objective, sometimes on a substantially narrowed front, and therefore greatly decreasing its combat effectiveness by making it harder to bring superior numbers to bear. A choke point can allow a numerically inferior defending force to use the terrain as a force multiplier to thwart or ambush a much larger opponent, as the attacker cannot advance any further without first securing passage through the choke point. This matters because about 2 years ago, God told me to tell somebody if we can secure the port, we might make it. I had no idea what this meant. I At the time I was like, oh, there's going to be like a terrorist attack or something on one of our ports or something, right? But now, when time has gone on and seeing in the context what's going on in the Middle East, I believe it was about that now. But also, let's say we were to receive an attack, um, it would make more sense for it to be on a port to starve everyone out, right? If anyone saw the video I made on the Battle of Alesia, in which starvation was used as a war tactic, if I was a bad guy, I'd want to starve the people out, right? So, something that I noticed, where is this? Bottlenecks, choke points, okay. Something that I noticed is this website lists choke points around the world, right? And so there's Bab el Mandeb passage from the Arabian Sea to the Red Sea, the Strait of Hormuz between Oman and Iran and the Persian Gulf, the Suez Canal and the Sumed pipeline connecting the Red Sea and Mediterranean Sea. Uh, and there was another one that stood out to me, Panama Canal and the Panama pipeline connecting the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. Now, the Lord had actually been talking to me about bottlenecks for like a couple days now. So when I read Stick the Landing, and then I saw the bottlenecks term for the military, mind you, I've never served, I don't know anything about this, but I was like, okay, it's because he wants me to click on that. And I think it's very interesting that it's about what's going on right now, right? And so I do believe that there may be an event here that is bigger than what is currently going, like, I mean, like, bad, like everyone stops and takes notice of whatever it is that's going to happen here. And I believe that this individual that I keep getting visions of might be a general or something. I don't know. um but it's like I see him, and I don't know if, like, the Lord showing me that he is landing and occupying territory is him going on offensive action right now. But the Lord has also been talking to me about South Africa. He says it's almost time to let the show begin. Now, on the 10th, I wrote, and this was more, I'm not sure if it was more me or like receiving a word, right? But I wrote, how many people tell secret things to trees, and how many more speak to them? And how many leave secrets in bottles lost at sea, or cans buried in the dirt. A secret love hidden away in a secret place. This concept also started becoming a very big deal around this time. Like that something precious was being hidden away somewhere. Um, and I feel like the bottles lost at sea could also be another reference to the bottlenecking, but I haven't like received any other clarifications on it. On the 11th, I got a word that a specific newspaper or news reporter will have a great revenue loss and will have to close or go out of business due to the substantial monetary loss. Again, the concept of hiding a secret in a special place, specifically a love or a confession of love or a lover. This could also be like not necessarily about love, but it could be about allies, right? Um, it's more like a union, that I see being hidden. I also do believe that the Swedes are going to interfere more in the conflicts that are going on in the Middle East. Um, Only because, like, for some reason, anytime I see like a headline involving Sweden, like I just feel it in my spirit that like, oh, they're going to get more involved. But that is not like a direct word. I did have another vision of like a missile, and it's green, and it like spins like the centrifuges that like separate plasma and stuff. Um, so I don't know. I kind of worry about that being a bioweapon. Like I kind of always worry about that. Like anytime I have a vision of that, like I feel like it's a bioweapon, but also I don't know if it's like a reference to a centrifugal force or like missile or something. Like I don't know. Again, on the 24th, I had the vision of the same man as I did in January and in early February. This man is a warrior of some kind. I believe he is missing a limb or he is missing a weapon he is used to using. I keep having visions of this man, and I see he is red handed. I see that he has red hands because I can see his palm. And this is when the Lord directed me to a website that had like notes on red ochre paint and like handprints, like cave dwellings and stuff. And something that I found very interesting that I did not know. In Aboriginal culture, when someone close to you dies, you remove a portion of your finger at the joint. Which one you remove was a function of your specific kinship relationship to the deceased. In other words, when someone close to you dies, a part of you literally dies with them. And so that made me think, is this person actually missing a limb the way I see him in my visions, or has he lost someone or something close to him that is like missing a limb? So then I started thinking, could this man like represent a country and the missing limb, quote unquote, is an alliance? I don't know. On the 25th, the Lord told me, when you overcome it, you get to rename it. And then he told me the story of David and how he conquered Jebus from the Jebusites. And afterwards, it was named Jerusalem, or the city of David. And there he ruled for 33 years. So the Lord says, when it is overcome, it will be renamed. On the 27th, I heard a radio transmission of a violent attack. Suspect leaves on foot, radio static. This attack occurs during during a time of interference to radio signals. I'm not sure what occurs. I just know that like there's radio static and the person leaves on foot. On the 29th, I received an allusion to the X event, which I am still praying for clarification on. Um, I do like a great stress that I have is that like a terrorist attack or something like that's gonna happen. If you haven't watched my eclipse video, go ahead and watch it because I received like two words on that I feel are important. And the word I did receive on the 29th was an allusion to what may happen that day, and it's not exactly positive. Um, it's mourning, right? It's a mourning event. And so, like, I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, rapture event," da, da, da. Like, I don't know, we don't know, but I have been getting two different messages for that. Now, this is gonna be the most important part of this video, and it ties into everything else, especially the words I received earlier in the month, right? So I received this, I believe it was on the 28th or 29th of February. I didn't write it down till the second because I was trying to see, like, hey, do you want me to talk about this? Am I just being weird and overlooking the dream or whatever? But it just hasn't left my mind. So on this day, I had a dream of a festival. It was some kind of event, and I was a part of the committee that was getting the event together. It was only my second day, the first day of which being the day that I had gotten hired, and that's all that happened. Now, the second day I went back and I was introducing myself to everyone. I was like, hey, I'm new here. Like, it's barely my second day. I just started, just got hired yesterday. What's going on, right? And so people are introducing themselves to me, and I notice all these like trophies on one of the tables, right? And these trophies are made of wood, and they're like little planes, but like the really old school planes. And I asked this gentleman, I was like, hey, what are those for? Those trophies? He's like, yeah, these are for the event next week. We're going to hand them out. And there was like maybe 5 to 7 on the table, right? I was like, oh, wow, is that like shaved wood or what is that? Because the trophies were made out of wood, but it was so thin that it looked like ribbon. Like it looked like they had been sculpted by ribbon or something, right? Like, but it was wood. So I knew that it had to be shaved so thinly to be like malleable enough to curve to make the shape of the plane, right? I was like, wow, that must take forever. And so then the guy tells me, yeah, we got to make 2,000 of these by next week. And I was like, 2,000? And I looked at the table, and like I said, we had like maybe max 7, right? And I was like, there's no way we're going to finish 2,000 like by next week. Like that doesn't make any sense, right? And then he was like, yeah, yeah, and we'll store them away and then we'll bring them back out when it's time for the event. And I was like, hold the phone. Like, why would we take time to store them if we're going to give them out and we're going to be so preoccupied on making them? I was like, that is a high volume order, right? And I think there couldn't be more than 10 of us there because it was only like a few people. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if we can make 2,000 by next week, right? And he said specifically 7 days. So I was like, okay, 1 week exactly. So like next week, this day, right? And all of a sudden, there's like this snack ice cream truck thing that shows up, and it has all kinds of food and snacks and stuff. And I remember I was like, you know what? I don't believe what that guy said. I'm just gonna like see if I can go get something to eat. And then I was like, wait a minute, I don't even have a wallet. Like I don't have money. Like whatever, right? And then I like go to the table where everyone's actually working on the decorations and all the crafts and stuff for the festival. And I'm introducing myself to these people. And there's this couple there that is clearly together, but the like wife is not happy about me talking to her husband. And I was just like, hey man, like I'm just introducing myself to everyone. I'm new here. Like I just trying to see where I can help. I'm trying to meet everyone so I know what I'm going to be doing and who my team is for this event, right? Oh, okay. She immediately chilled out, right? And then they were telling me, oh, so are we going to store the trophies before we give them away? And I was like, why do they keep talking about storing the trophies? And then I wake up, and it was crazy because the Lord has been giving a lot of words in reference to chess lately, right? Like he gave me a checkmate word a while back ago. I don't know if y'all saw that video where I referenced the Scorpio or the oil tanker, right? And that's when he told me checkmate. And then but when I woke up I realized, I was like, why a wooden trophy, right? And then I realized that I play chess online, right? And the website where I play chess, there's a wood league. And once you're done with the wood league, you get into the stone league. And so I was like, oh, this is like a graduation ceremony, or this is like a an advancement ceremony, right? Like, oh, you passed this stage, it's time to go to the next one, right? And none of it really made sense until I started making the video, right? Because I hadn't realized that like the first word I had gotten this month was about taking flight. Was about taking flight above a dragon and then getting into position to take it down. And then now at the end of the month, it's like, okay, you're going to be given a trophy for what you just accomplished. But I don't know what the reference to 2000 is. And then it wasn't until I looked up the word of the Saigon, where the Pharaoh will perish at Red Sea, and then the Lord told me Saigon. And then he mentions a specific evacuation plan. In the dream, they said specifically 2,000. You need to make 2,000 of these because this is how many we need to give away. And I was like, what are you talking about? And here's what's crazy. I have no idea what Saigon is. I have no, like, I don't freaking know. You know what I'm saying? Like, my knowledge of geography is, the last time I remember taking geography, I was like, what, 14? And even then, I just would fill out that workbook and it was like, whatever. But get this, he told me to read Saigon, right? On the 3rd of April, President Gerald Ford announced Operation Baby Lift, which would evacuate about 2,000 orphans from the country. One of the Lockheed 5 Galaxy planes involved in the operation crashed, killing 155 passengers and crew and damaging the morale of American staff. To me, to me, seeing this word be like completely delivered after the month and just sitting on it, right? I have a hope that it is an evacuation plan for whatever is going on in the Middle East. And I'm hoping that 2,000 people will be saved from it, right? At the end of the day, I don't know. What I do know is the Lord told me it would happen in 1 week. And that week is going to be either this Wednesday or Thursday, right? Because I can't remember if it was Wednesday or Thursday night that I had the dream. And so I feel like I need to get this out before it happens, because if it happens, then all glory to God. And you know that this was the hand of God himself that did it. And also, I wonder who this person is that I keep having these dreams about, right? Like, I don't know who this person is, but I have visions of them all the time. I've seen them multiple times, especially since January. And I don't know if this person is going to become a very big player in the events that are going to happen in March and April. But I do believe that we're in to see some crazy stuff this month. And let me reiterate again that it is prep time and that we need to stay prepared and we need to stay prayed up. And we do not want to be caught off guard like the unwise virgins and all that stuff. Like, get your anointing oil, get ready because Jesus is coming. And there's a part of me that's like, is that man the representation of Christ's return? We don't know. At the end of the day, we don't know the hour. He comes like a thief in the night, and we want to prepare. And so I want to get this message out because while I have the hope that it will be a good thing that happens regarding this 2,000 trophies and this festival or whatever, I also want to say that we're living in dangerous times right now, especially with all the stuff going on in the Middle East, especially with all the enemies that this country has. And it's like, stay vigilant. And I also just realized it would technically be like 666, right? We don't know what the enemy is planning these next couple days. We don't know if they're going to do some weird stuff or like whatever. I don't know. What I do know is that I feel like I had to get this out and I wanted to talk about it. And if you have any idea what some of these terms or some of these references are, let me know. A lot of the stories that the Lord has been talking to me about revolve around David and his military campaigns. Um, Last week it was a lot about Jonah and him preaching about God's judgment before the people of is it Nineveh repented. So you know there's a lot to think about, especially with these current events. And like I said, if you understood a reference and I didn't, or you believe that you're interpreting something differently in a more accurate way, leave it in the comments below or shoot me an email. Make it a great day or not. The choice is